Good evening, everybody. We got here a 1v1 between the Viper and MbL. Two players obviously top of the game right now. Both players well experienced with one another, being 2v2 teammates. Obviously, both being from the same country. They have competed in World Cups. They compete quite a bit with and against each other in tournaments all throughout the year, and they know each other very well. Let's get right into it. So we have in the red playing as the Berbers, the Viper, and his enemy in the blue playing as the Sicilians is MbL. Taking a quick look at the maps, look at this wall-off potential on the left side of the map for MbL. Does have forward berries, but that gold should be fairly easy to protect, and just a couple of palisades and houses and walling off here, and he will be protected in that little enclave. If he wants to go a little bit further out, going to be a lot of walling to protect out these golds and stones. On the other side of the map, we have the Viper. He does have this side berries. He will likely see some walls going up there, and he will have a protected back gold. Very, very good. He will be walling towards this stone shortly. So what can we expect? Berbers obviously want to be going for, well, knights. With their cheap knights, they can really overpower a lot of other civilizations, and that is exactly what we hope for. Obviously, he is scouting out the map right now, doesn't know where his enemy is, decided to scout at home first, whereas MbL, well known for his laming, he is going forward, trying to see what he can do. Nothing really for him to really steal from the Viper. But what he does have are two militia coming forward, and let's take a quick look at MbL's fog of war. Yeah, he knows exactly where to attack. He's going straight for those berries. Will the Viper see it ahead of time? Only time will tell. Third militia coming forward now, and he has not yet seen that this wood line exists. He might know with the line of sight, but he's bringing across his scout to really scout out what's going on here. Now he knows there's a lumber camp here. Let's slow it down a little bit. Will he get a Vil pick this early in the game? He does. Just like that. Look at the Vil difference between the two of them. We have 18 villagers for the Viper and 23 for MbL. Obviously, MbL severely delayed going up to the next age. That is why he has chosen to go for a more economic approach. But the Viper is dropping a stable forward. He's got tons of idle time, but he is in the next age, and he is going to be able to pump out scouts fairly quickly here. The one concern obviously being he doesn't really have food income, especially with these berries having to be evacuated. Militia just being a nuisance right now. One scout plus these villagers. Viper won't be too worried as of now, and as MbL hits the next age, we immediately see the eco upgrades coming in. And will we see more aggression? A spearman coming forward and an archery range being dropped right now for the Sicilian player to negate against the Berber scouts that will be coming in. The militia still hanging out in the back of the base, and the Viper choosing to go forward at first, sees the spearman and will go back, take out the militia, and MbL still untouched at home. Very well walled off here. As we see, these militia will definitely go down to the scouts, wanting to just get as much damage as possible at this point in time, see what they can do. But a spearman forward now. Nothing really that the Viper has to fight up against a spearman. Obviously the scouts, 3 of them with fantastic micro could engage, but unlikely right now. An archery range is getting dropped by the Viper. Long term, of course, playing as the Berbers, typically you would want to, once Castle Age hits, go into knight production, even camels, but in this situation, likely just knights. But skirmishers coming out in defense, blacksmith up, and house. That will complete this wall off on this side. Still, the Viper is very open on the other side, as 2 spearmen and an archer are forward for MbL, and both of these players are on 5 military. The scouts toying with engaging with this skirmisher in behind. They might have a chance, but still not an ideal situation to be in. Just spearmen so strong against the scouts. But the scouts able to outmaneuver any spearmen, any archers, and they are going to go straight to the base of MbL, as MbL chooses to engage with the skirmishers with just 1 archer and the spearmen. The scouts of Viper still, I'm not liking his indecision in this game so far. He has been jumping back and forth, back and forth. He hasn't really done much with these scouts. He's had 5 on the field for quite a while, and all he's been able to do really is defend against those militia early on in the game. Taking a look at the villager counts, we have a 4 villager lead still for MbL. 29 to 33. That is a massive difference between the two. Let's see if these scouts can get into the base, as there are scouts now out on the field for both players. Scouts against these skirmishers of Viper will be able to take them out really, really quickly. But 4 spearmen is nothing to joke around about, especially engaging against just 5 scouts. They will be able to take them out like crazy. As this scout moves forward, will engage against the skirms, caught out just a little bit, as the spearmen don't want to get in too close and lose their numbers before the scouts get in. And the scouts, oh, they're still scared to engage. Rightfully so. You see 1 go down, skirmishers falling to the scout, and the archers in behind able to take out villagers. Look at that. Now a 6 villager lead. The economy of MbL is just so strong right now. And as you can see, obviously these players, very top level, obviously able to engage very well, no matter who they are, but just such a stronger economy behind for MbL as he loses his whole military force. I say that he still does have 5 military on the field. Those are 4 archers and a scout. And it looks to me like the Viper is starting to save up for the next age. He is looking to get just that little bit of an upgrade once he gets to the next age, and I hope he goes for knights. Knights will be able to do so much damage against this type of force. Obviously, skirmishers very strong against the archers, but when caught out against the scouts, they fall like crazy. Altogether, with the right engagement, I do like the army composition of MbL a little bit better, just because he is able to engage a lot more comfortably with his scouts as well as his archers and that 1 spearman. But proper micro, those skirms should be able to take out a couple archers, but unlikely right now, as the scouts overpowering the skirms. And once again, it is flip-flopped, and now the Viper has lost his entire military as he's on his way up to the next age. Definitely looking at walling in. Can he get these walls up fast enough? Well, it's the Viper. Of course he can. But these farms on the side will still remain open. MbL probably hesitant to run in, but choosing to do so anyways with these scouts. 1 scout goes down. 1 villager for the Viper will definitely go down here. And the scouts also falling to the town center fire. And now both of these players on their way up to the castle age. The Viper getting bloodlines for his knights. He will be going into knights. Berber knights so strong and overpowering in the early castle age because of their cheap price. Already getting the first defense upgrade on his cavalry units, Meanwhile, we see MbL choosing to go for an archer strategy, staying with the archer civilization, staying with 2 archery ranges at home. He is open on the side. He hasn't had to wall up much. He has seen very, very little pressure as the Viper is scouting the entire base right now. If you take a look at his fog of war, very, very good scouting. He knows exactly what's going on. He's building a monastery. He wants to collect those relics as soon as possible. He knows the importance of scouting the map. Not just scouting the enemy base, but seeing something like that. That gold over there, late game, massive. And able to engage with a scout, run away, as MbL is falling back until he gets his crossbow upgrades. And the first 2 knights are already on their way out when MbL hits the next stage. Crossbow immediately comes in, bodkin arrow immediately comes in, and another spearman, just because he knows what to expect. The knights in the base, but not quite at that mass that you want to get at. Sadly, these will be crossbows by the time the next 2 knights join up. Well, sadly for Viper, happily for MbL, as MbL choosing to go for 3 town centers right off the bat. Still just the one, the second one just being dropped now for the Viper. These 2 players do know each other's playstyles so well. As husbandry is coming in, and look at this mass of knights with the Berbers, so fast to get knights out on the field. And already we see the power of the Sicilians, great economy, 3 town centers already dropped. There is nowhere other than this wood line that the Viper can engage. Viper already collecting up his relics, still scouting around with skirmishers, still trying to see exactly what's going on in the map, running right underneath the town center. MbL hasn't noticed yet, just garrisons the town center now, but this many knights doing quite a bit of damage to the economy of MbL. MbL choosing to move his military forward. He is going forward with a huge mass of archers and scouts, spearmen, and also 2 villagers. So they will be able to pick up a couple of Vill picks as a siege workshop goes down for the Viper. Still just 2 town centers up, and MbL still fairly protected at home with the +2 on the knights. Viper not too scared to run in, but he won't be able to get another Vill pick underneath that town center, so he does decide to run away. As a siege workshop is getting dropped at the front of Viper's base, we will see a mangonel pressuring this town center, as we see a mangonel in defense for the Viper. One thing to note, those relics, they are already getting picked up. We see the 3rd town center now going down. He knows MbL has 3 town centers, and now he will have 3 as well. MbL a 7 villager lead, still with the lead in villagers, but not quite the lead that he would want to have at this point in the game. Let's see how the micro can go. These palisade walls get dropped down. Crossbows will want to engage as a mangonel is getting queued up to come out for MbL. And let's see what he can do. The mangonel for the Viper, scared to go out in front of this siege workshop, rightfully so. That other mangonel can come out at any point in time for MbL, and it just does now. But this group of knights, 12 knights, nothing to write home about, as we do see a big military force for MbL, but a growing military force for the Viper as well. And a second mangonel coming out with good micro. Let's see exactly who can engage and get the advantages. Lucky for the Viper there that did not hit. Straight up 1 for nothing. That's a good trade for the Viper. Another mangonel is already out on the field for MbL. He is building a second one now in the siege workshop as the knights are being healed up by the monks. That is one of the benefits of collecting up these relics so early, is he will be able to heal up his units. Look at the Fog of War for the Viper. When we take a look at MbL, his Fog of War, not quite as robust as what the Viper is dealing with right now. And this town center is taking quite a bit of damage, but look at these knights. 16 knights on that side will have trouble engaging against that many pikemen, but still a force to be reckoned with as they move forward, choosing to avoid the main army of MbL. MbL's very content to just sit, knock at the door, take out this town center, continue to do damage to the economy, whereas Viper will be able to get in here. Let's see MbL if he can quick wall this fast enough. He does. He gets the house just up in time. And the Viper will have to engage underneath the town center. Will have to engage with pikemen and crossbows now. And MbL is fully walled behind this. Viper could run around, but it will likely be walled up afterwards. Is Viper going to do it? He's going to go for the town center. 16 knights versus 1 town center. We have crossbows shooting arrows at them, but +2 knights. They are able to engage. They're going to engage with the villagers underneath the town centers. Villagers just looking to buy time until these pikes come in, but the pikes won't even be enough. And MbL needs to go forward. Let's see if this castle can go up. Will this castle be denied? Taking a quick look at the Fog of War. He sees the castles here. He sees it's being built. Will it make it up in time? Fantastic shot by the Viper as he has to flee from building that castle. In the meantime, he was unable to take out the town center with his knights. Let's see if he can do it now. This castle being denied is massive. Still too scared to engage with this mangonel. Mangonel goes down to a mangonel shot. This castle will now go up as the town center for MbL falls, and we see MbL having to build another town center just in behind. I'm not a big fan of that placement, but sometimes you have to just get town centers up. Speaking of which, town center going up now for Viper. Exactly same place as he had before. Will it make it up in time, or will it be denied now? Let's see. Pikemen should not be engaging underneath this castle, especially with a couple camel archers out. A natural counter to the pikemen, obviously. But the pikemen still get a mangonel pick as the Viper is deciding to come back. Will he be looping around this way and engaging in the economy, or just cutting out the forces of MbL? Let's see what his decision is. For now, deciding to sit on the hill. He is going to engage, do a pincer move. Mangonel coming this way. The castle is protecting behind. And the Viper choosing to go right in for the mangonels. Some great attack grounds, really doing quite a bit of damage. But those mangonels will all fall, as just this small group of knights was able to distract almost all of those pikemen. And now, playing as the Berbers, having these strong cavalry units, the camel archers, he will sit behind that wood line, but unable to engage with crossbows in behind. The pikemen, very strong against the knights, obviously, when you're looking at price points, and all of these knights pretty weak with full HP pikes all over the map. 4 town centers now for MbL, and when we look at the Viper, he is only on 3. Big villager lead for MbL. He is at 19 villagers more than where the Viper's at. The Viper will start falling behind if he doesn't do a couple of good engagements, because he has a much smaller military force. 62 military for MbL versus the 25 of the Viper. Of course, knights being the stronger unit. only helps so much. And now the next town center has gone up, so he is now on 3 once again, as this fourth one has fallen down twice. And MbL deciding to engage with a couple of knights. Interesting choice for MbL to put a couple of knights. We see a donjon coming forward. And the one thing I do like about the way that Viper's playing right now is he has kept his military, even though it's more mobile, in a closer formation. So you see a massive lead, more than twice as much military for MbL, but all of the Viper's military is all in one place, and he can engage against the separate armies if he has to. Another town center now going up, as he is getting donjon pushed by the Sicilian player. Both players on the way up to Imperial Age, so close to one another, as Bodkin Arrow now being researched by the Berber player, and great attack ground there. Look at the damage that was done against all of those crossbows. And the Camel Archers unable to engage underneath this donjon. MbL is still in a little bit of a tight spot. Wood lines are getting a bit sparse. He's not too concerned. He's going to put up a market. He's going to be able to buy his way to anything at this point in time if he can continue to engage the way he has. The donjon's going up all over the base of MbL, dropping them left, right, and center as his army is supporting the castle forward. This castle will most definitely make it up, no doubt in my mind, as one archery range falls down. Not the end of the world for MbL, but still a little bit of a hassle if he chooses to continue to mass crossbows. We now have a complete 200 pop cap for MbL. Look at that pop cap. He's got 121 villagers. The honest to God truth is, if he starts losing these villagers at the front, that might actually help him at this point in time, as it'll allow him to create more military. Only 132 population for the Viper right now. That is a massive difference. Of course, engaging underneath the town center, especially against Camel Archers, never a good idea with pikemen. But with these crossbows behind, they do have 5+3 range, so they are able to outrange the town centers themselves, but will it be enough? And a trebuchet already out for both players. We will see some engagements between these two trebuchets as the Viper decides to just place his there, scare MbL away for the time being, as MbL is continuing to get more and more map position, now with halberdiers. This will be an important engagement with 20 units right now for MbL, and we see right here more than 20 units, stronger units for the Viper. Big swing there. Will this donjon be denied? It will not, but the knights will be able to engage underneath. Murder holes likely not in for MbL. And that will be multiple villagers down for MbL. He does still have a little bit of an economic lead. I say little bit. It is over 20 population of villagers, more than what the Viper has. Viper's still sitting just under 140 population. MbL, he is sitting still at 175 as this castle is starting to go down. MbL deciding to engage, dropping a castle right on that town center. He now has the army to engage against these knights. And the Viper choosing to go into Camel Archers. He's not going into the Knight line and Cavalier. He's going into Camel Archers, Bombard Cannons. I like the addition of Bombard Cannons just because they'll be able to take out these trebuchets, take out the castles, and engage from a distance against these clumps of arbs that we will definitely be seeing. A couple arbalests are being taken off as the populations are leveling out slightly, but still a huge lead for MbL. Viper does have a bit of a villager deficit, but the main focus here should be 19 or 20 villagers at all times have been idle, and that is, he may as well not have those 20 villagers at that point in time, so he is having to hide once again inside of a town center. This wood line will be completely open for engagement, and now it is the Viper who is running low on wood. He's got nothing in the back of his base. He can't attack on the front of his base. And even something like this bombard cannon, it's being repaired, sure. He can't afford to lose something like this bombard cannon. And MbL loses a ton of villagers right here. I totally missed that as the knights engage against these arbalests. That is a great engagement, but not quite what he wanted. I think the Viper might have been able to engage with just a couple more knights, but he's more interested in keeping these camel archers alive, taking out the military, taking out the economy, as this bombard cannon is still alive, still able to do damage against this castle. But these arbalests need to be taken care of. Light cavalry now coming in, as the Viper, who does have slightly better numbers as far as actual numbers of food and wood and gold, but MbL, he does still have a massive villager lead. Let's see how this engagement goes. Fairly good for the arbalests. Would have liked these light cavalry engaging a little bit earlier. Not a great engagement for the Viper. He needed more numbers. Look at how much he lost. Sure, he wins the fight, but at what cost? As we see the sergeants coming forward, and I think at this point in time, Viper is just outgunned as MbL with 202 population is steamrolling ahead. Really, I think this, at this point in time, has just been a slow and methodical movement forward. Here's that gold I mentioned earlier. That is fantastic scouting right at the beginning, and that gold, those 7 villagers are saving Viper right now. But they're only buying time, as I believe this might be pretty much the end for the Viper. Since the beginning of the castle age, just that ball right here of MbL's army, able to continually push and put pressure on the economy of the Viper that the Viper has not been able to really regain from ever since. Obviously now Hussars coming in, would love to see some raiding, take out that economic lead that MbL has had all game. They are close with villagers, but still 30 idols for the Viper. And he only has 30 military compared to the 50 of MbL. I do like the camel archers and knight move. Hussars now, of course, being put out in place. Hussars so strong against skirmishers, able to engage against this whole army with just 2 Hussars. But a couple of early mistakes really setting off and creating more and more problems, as sergeants in the back of Viper's base building a donjon. Just such a unique unit, such a powerful move, and able to do something that no other units can do, and that is create buildings that they are created from. Viper smartly gets rid of that tower or that donjon before it can go up. Good thing, because he would have been caught out and off guard. Villagers now still 19 idols for the Viper. I'd love to see a town center or something on this wood line on the right, as these wood lines in the eastern side are falling fairly quickly. And I don't see the Hussar raids being quite strong enough. The Hussars will be able to take out one Trebuchet, likely not a second. But the Camel Archers are getting to a pretty good mass with a couple Hussars if they're able to properly micro. Hussars taking out skirmishers and Camel Archers taking out everything else. Then I think Viper can continue to hold on. Look at these queues, continuously producing out of multiple areas, but look at these idols. As Trebuchets are knocking on his door, it's just overwhelming to engage against the Sicilian players. Even a town center in the middle of these three wood lines, right at the front of Viper's starting base. Just a slap in the face saying, I can access your wood, you cannot. And now, bit of a villager lead for the Viper. Well, he has 45 idols. I think the GG must be coming fairly soon here. He is being pushed on all sides. These two castles will be falling down. And on this side, the castle has already gone down. Siege Workshop goes down. And now the town center that started it all will start to fall. The main army, of course, I did commend him early in the game for having his army sticking together, engaging very well, and that Trebuchet gets that last shot off. Of course, having an army that sticks together is great when you can choose where the engagements are, but for the last 10-15 minutes, he has not been able to choose where the engagements are because he is running around trying to clean up at all angles. And even villagers going forward, dropping donjons in the back of the base. This monastery will have to eject the 3 relics. And I think this is it. Viper being pushed further and further back. Building houses right now. He is severely pop-capped. As his houses are falling, castles fall, and the GG is called. If we take a quick look at the timeline, I think, you know, right here, when MbL started to get that massive lead in military without giving up his economy, that was fantastic play. Fantastic play out of both of them. But right there, when he was 20 villagers ahead economically and 20 military ahead, there was nothing the Viper could do.